Hello and welcome to another one of my how-to videos on getting the best out of LinkedIn. And today we're going to look at the three main aspects of social and social selling, which is your personal brand, your network, and content. So with personal brand, we're going to cover off the impression you give when somebody meets you for the first time online, followed by how to curate your network on LinkedIn and work out what your network of influence is. And then finally, look at how you can leverage content on LinkedIn to drive better business conversations. Things like getting the algorithm to work for you, curating content, and using hashtags. So this is about 30 minutes long. I hope you find it helpful. So we're going to first look at your personal brand. So as mentioned, this is when somebody finds you online, primarily could be LinkedIn in this case, but actually wherever you reside digitally, who do they meet? Are they meeting just another salesperson, another lawyer, accountant, CEO, or are they actually meeting you, the person in question? So I'm just going to walk through a few examples of the sort of things that you can consider, and then we will go through some step-by-step things you can do to put in yourself. So I'm just going to look at Tom. Tom was a great person to follow. Shares some very amusing videos of the role of an SDR. First and foremost, we can see that Tom's got a sales banner up here with the corporate branding. This is really key to have an image up here. Consider your profile as your own personal website. Then we have here his headline. This was never actually meant to be your job title, and this pulls through automatically from LinkedIn. What you need to think about your LinkedIn profile is you're talking to your next client, you're not talking to your next job. So ideally, what we want is what you do. So the way to think about this is if I were to speak to any of your clients, how would they describe to me what it is that you do for them? Then the about section, we need to just a little bit of insight in terms of you, what makes you tick, who you are. The featured section, this is really critical. You can see that Tom is promoting all his videos. As I said, they are amazing to watch. Then within the experience section, we want to look at what it is that you do to help. How can you help your audience? So even though there are 675 million people on LinkedIn, when somebody lands on your profile, you are having a one-to-one conversation with them. Slightly different approach with Devyani. So professional services, again, same principles, image, the headline in terms of what she does, the about section. So in terms of her approach, call to action, get in touch, featured, as we mentioned, and then examples of how she can help her client base. More in the startup world, so Juliet, in terms of on a mission to change the recruitment industry, you can see image. We can see the about section. Juliet chooses to tell her story, which I really like here. Featured section, and then again here more around what is it that Any Good can do, how they can help, and even some case studies that she's added through here. So coming back to my profile, how do you go about doing this and what sort of things we need to look at? So first and foremost, to edit, we can come into here and just click on your picture. And we can see up here, I've got this this banner image. So talk to marketing, see what they can do to help. If you want to load up your own images, I use a platform called Unsplash, which is free royalty-free images for anyone. Canva is also a great tool because it actually has all these templates. So actually you can use Canva to create your own LinkedIn banner, which has the right settings, and then you can either pull through their imagery or use your own marketing imagery to do this. Anywhere that you see this pencil is where you would come into edit mode. So if I want to edit this section, then I click on the blue pencil, and this is where I change the headline. So I've currently got Think Differently. Your current position will pull through your experience. Make sure you have your education in place because that helps drive the system to work out, well, you know this person. Went to the same school, college, university as you. Maybe you know them, maybe you want to connect with them. Location, add that through, and then your industry will pull through from your experience. And then you can add in your websites, telephone numbers. If you've got a Twitter profile, you can add your Twitter profile to cross-reference. I don't bother adding the birthday because that doesn't mean you get random people wishing you happy birthday. Then we want to come through to the about section. So again, I think you've got around 3,000 characters to use here. So my advice would be draft something in Word, have a play around with it, ask one of your colleagues to read through it. If we're not connected, I'm more than happy for you to connect with me and share your drafts through. Featured section. This is really great for pushing through featured content. So I'll show you later on how you can actually feature posts, as it were. I've got my YouTube channel, I've got my podcast, and so on. But you might want to add maybe your website, maybe some reports, any content that you want to push and promote. Then we come through to the experience section. So again, this is more of the, dare I say it, the CV, but my advice, a good starting place would be whatever you put in a pitch document or a proposal document is a good place to start, because people will now be cross-referencing your pitch documents to your LinkedIn profile. So we need to make sure they all tie up. Now, when you come into edit mode, before you do anything, we want to make sure that share with network is turned off, because if this is turned on, anytime you make an edit, then it will potentially update your network and it may look like you've got a new role. Then you can start to update the description. Same things, you can add in links to all sorts of things that you've done here. Also, things to consider is that all of this is searchable. So anything on your LinkedIn profile, the more keywords you put in, the types of things that people would be searching for, put this in, because then that is how people can search you. You want to fill your profile out as much as you're able throughout the entire profile. So if you've got memberships, directors outside of work, you can put this in. We then we've talked about the education, any licenses, certifications, add these in, all starts to help build the profile out. The skills section, these are all searchable within LinkedIn, and this is kind of the back-end CRM function of LinkedIn. To add a new skill, it's really super easy. You just click add new skill, may start to push things. If you want to do skills that are already there, we can maybe do sales enablement. You can then add sales enablement. If the skill doesn't exist, but it is relevant, you can then actually add that skill to yourself. But ideally, most of the things that you will have will already be in here. So make sure you are adding the skills to your skills section. Then in an ideal world, we want to have your recommendations, because recommendations are like the 4-star rating on Amazon or 5-star rating on TripAdvisor, and it's a great way for you to profile your client base that are happy with the work that you have done. The next thing that we want to note, you may see that I have a personalized URL, so I have no numbers after my name. So if you haven't done this, you'll have your first name hyphen, surname hyphen, and a series of numbers. So what we want to do is clean this up. So to do this, you go up here to edit public profile and URL. You click on this button, this opens up a new tab. This is how visible you are outside of LinkedIn. So I'm as public because I want to be found outside of LinkedIn. Ultimately, you are in control of this, so you can control how visible you are. But here is where you can edit your custom URL. So you click on the edit button, tab all the way to the end, delete the numbers, and see if you can get your own name. If you can't get your own name, get rid of the hyphen. If you can't get that, maybe do the last 2 digits of your birth year, or you could potentially do your sector expertise. But think of this as having your own personal URL, as it were. The other thing to consider is if I look back at Tom's profile, we will see that people also viewed. Now, some people like this because we're seeing kind of other sales companies within his profile, but sometimes you might actually get the competition here. So if I look at Devyani's profile, then we'll note there's nothing appearing down the side. My view is you want to do this because that means that when people land on your profile, they stay on your profile. They're not being encouraged to look at somebody else. So a really simple way to deal with this is that you click on Me, you go to Settings and Privacy, and then we come down here to Viewers of this profile also viewed. We click on that, and then we toggle to No. Once that's toggled off, then when anybody lands on your profile, they will not see other potential competitions in here. So it'll be like Devyani's, where there's nothing appearing here. So these are the principles that you need to consider in terms of your LinkedIn profile. When somebody lands on it, you are talking to your next client or your next prospect, rather than talking to your next role. So, with that in mind, we will move on to the next piece, which is around your network. So, you're only as good as your network, and a simple way to kind of figure out what your network of opportunity is. And even though I have premium, you can do this on free LinkedIn. We come into the search bar, and let's say that I wanted to market to, the job title is irrelevant. So whatever industry you're in, use the job title that you would market to. So it could well be Chief Marketing Officer. So you type in Chief Marketing Officer, I want Chief Marketing Officer in people. So we then come through here and we can see, okay, 1.16 million. I mean, that's a lot of CMOs. So you come to all filters, and then we click on second degree, and then maybe I only want United Kingdom because that's where I am. We could do your own country. We could even drill it down to an industry, so maybe within the management consulting space. So second degree, because I'm interested in not my first degree, I'm interested in those that can facilitate an introduction. So I know someone who can make that introduction, UK only, and in this industry. So I then click apply, and we got around 600 plus. So what this means is my potential influence in the second degree of my network is 600 plus people. That doesn't guarantee I can do that, but if I were to share a piece of content saying, if you're a CMO, if you're a chief marketing officer, read this, and then my first degree network of CMOs engages with this, that means I can potentially influence a second degree of 600 people. So it's a great way to consider what is your network of influence within LinkedIn, because if your second degree network is low around who you would want to market or sell to, then when it comes to working with content, your potential to move through your network is reduced, which is why it's critical that moving forwards you should connect with anybody that you have a business contact with, even if that's over email, even if that's over the phone, even if that's through video call. Send a note afterwards saying, thanks for your time. I know we're not connected. It would be great to connect so I can continue to follow your journey or follow what you're sharing. Because even if that doesn't become a business opportunity, you are now in the network of network opportunity. There are different ways you can do this. Let's say Pip at Archimedes, I could click on Pip's profile. Pip may know that I look at Pip. I could then ask any of these individuals for an introduction. I could send her a connection request. I would add a note, personalize it. But what you can also do is you can follow people on LinkedIn. So I might follow Pip, and then Pip will get a little notification up here that I have that I've done this. And if you have premium, then when you come down to here in terms of who viewed your profile, if Pip looks back at my profile, then I know that Pip has been made aware that I have followed Pip. So it's a really great way just to a gentle kind of hello if you're not comfortable sending a direct connection request, or you can do a follow, then get the introduction via your proprietary network. But that's why it's also critical for large organizations, if you sort of 500 plus, if you will, to connect internally as much as you can. Because if you can then drive that connection referral through your own company, that is even more powerful. So let's choose a different job title, go to a different sector completely. I could do in legal. So I could do general counsel, in people. I then do, so we've got 590,000 results here, filters, second degree, click apply, keeping it quite broad. 20,000 potential in my network, so I might want to filter that down a little further, maybe in the New York area. So click apply again, and you can keep playing with this. So 1,000 results. So then we can start to drill down. So same principle, Kimberly at General Counsel, NBC Universal. I could ask for an introduction through Jody or Lizzie. I could then click on Kimberly's profile. I then might do same principles, follow, connect, and et cetera, around what we have talked about. So it's worth playing around with these search filters just to understand how good is your second degree network, because that's where we want to get to. We want to, as we talk it through, market through your network, not to your network. So now we're going to move on to the final point, and this is around content. So content is the critical aspect of LinkedIn. That's actually any social media platform. The better and more engaged you are on LinkedIn, this way we can move you into the right areas. We talk about fish where the fish are. So understanding kind of what ponds your client base and your prospective client base is fishing in, that's where you want to be. So we get a lot of the time, my LinkedIn network is not relevant, or my content feed is not relevant, and the stuff isn't there, is not interesting. LinkedIn is just for finding jobs. Well, as with any other social media platform, LinkedIn is powered by an algorithm, and you need to teach that algorithm what it is that you are interested in. So there are two ways that we can do this. So on any single post, you will see that there's 3 dots. So let's just pick this one for random. So click on these 3 dots. And let's say that for whatever reason, I'm not interested in David's content anymore. So I can unfollow David. So I remain connected, but I'm telling the system I'm not interested in David's content anymore. So you're starting to teach it. But then we've also got down here, improve my feed. So if I click on improve my feed, this brings up this page here. So this will be based on your current behavior. So for me, it's actually pretty good in terms of the companies and pages that I should be following and the hashtags that I should be engaging with. So start to teach the system the type of things that you are interested in, the hashtags and the corporate companies. And we'll come on to more of this in just a second. So just on hashtags, hashtag in simple terms is a label. This is a piece of content about cats. This is a piece of content about pizza. In this case, this is a piece of content about collaboration. So I'm going to follow that. And what this is now doing is telling me that anybody who's posted a piece of content with this hashtag on LinkedIn, it'll start to push that into my newsfeed. But the other thing that I can do, I can click on this hashtag, opens up a separate page, as you can see, and we got close to 400,000 people following this hashtag. So if you do anything to do with marketing around collaboration, software or a process or a service, and you're not adding this hashtag to your content, then you're not pulling yourself into this newsfeed. You're just staying in your newsfeed. This is also a great way to start to bring people into your network. So at this point, Tim Exile, third plus in my network, a long way away. Tim's never ever heard of me until this point, doesn't even know I exist as a human being. Let's say Tim is somebody that I would want to market to. I can just like this post. Now Tim knows who I am. That is why it comes full circle back to your profile, as you mentioned earlier, being set up in a way that it talks to your next audience. So you can see down here that I've got lots of other hashtags to follow. So what you want to be doing is starting to understand, what hashtags are relevant to you. Back to kind of fish where the fish are. Talk to your marketing team. We could do hashtag legal innovation, for argument's sake. 9,000 followers here. Same principle. You can do hashtag client team one. So hashtag Google Trends. So let's have a look at Google Trends and see what's happening around Google Trends. So again, anything that might be of interest to you, but also to your network, this is a great way to start to curate your newsfeed and start to help you find interesting content that you can engage with. The other thing that we want to do is whenever you engage with either your own corporate content or third-party content, put some context to it. So like this individual here, Beth, she could have just shared this post, but actually she's added some context to it. If I go to another individual example of what this looks like, look at Matt. Matt is an employment partner. And if we go into Matt's news feeds, we see here that he typically adds a viewpoint to his posts. So, of course, Matt could have just shared this piece of corporate content. Okay, that's fine. But actually, he's added some viewpoint here. Same with this process here. He could have just shared gov.uk, which is great, but tell your audience why they should read it, what's in it. Because what we're trying to do is create that pause effect. If you just have sort of content in there which is just a link, then we're not getting people to pause on your profile and want to click through. So you need to consider about curating your newsfeed with this button here, how you can use hashtags. Then whenever you share a post, the optimum number of hashtags according to LinkedIn and research that experts have done independently is 3 hashtags per post. So if I just go in here, just give you an example of what that might look like. So here's the recent engagement, this post here. So I've added an image, tagged some people in, hashtag, hashtag, hashtag. So you add those 3 hashtags, and what this has done, this has pulled my post into this newsfeed, that newsfeed, and this newsfeed, so that I'm now getting a 4-to-1 return, if you will, on what I'm sharing. If you're not sure how to tag somebody in a post, you literally just put @Adam Gray, and then I can tag Adam. You can even tag people who are not in your posts. I always pick on poor old Bob. So click on Bob, and then when you put that post, Bob will get a notification. This can be a really useful tactic to draw someone into your network of conversation. If they've authored something, if it's a client you're prospecting, you could find a report that that company has shared, and then tag in the individual that you want to get to know or that you are prospecting with. The other thing that we can also consider is the content search. So this button here, in terms of content, you can start to actually search the content within LinkedIn. So you can do posted by, author, industry. You can play around with some different filters. So let's say I wanted to see Adam by way of example. Hit search and hit content. And then what I'm looking to do is find where Adam has been tagged in this content. So let's just do that one more time. So I do Adam Gray, hit the search bar. Now I'm on content, and now we can see Adam's appearing here because I've tagged him, his own post. We can change this by latest. And again, the beauty of this is that you don't need to be connected to the person to be able to see this. So use that content search filter again to find out where maybe you're being tagged or prospects, etc., to help engage. So these are some of the things that you do need to consider. The other thing you can start to help piggyback off is today's news and views. So this is LinkedIn's own news source. Think of BuzzFeed, if you will. So what we can do is, if I want to look at this one, so remote work requires a new outlook. It's got 23,000 readers, I should say. What this is doing is that LinkedIn editors starts to pick up people who are creating some content. So you have to obviously add some context to this, and then they will boost the post for you. So they start to pick out these posts and boost it. But you can also piggyback off the back of this by just giving this, as I said, I've done a quick like there for Kendall's, and potentially that's almost 1,200 people, 1,400 people in total now may get to see my my profile. Now, not all those 1,400 people are going to be relevant, but it's a great way just to see what's happening. But what can also happen, back to Matt, as I was referring to earlier, he has been promoted in this newsfeed before. Vimal, who's a colleague of ours, he's been promoted in this newsfeed in terms of his view on aviation. So it's a great way just to keep track of what's going on. You can also follow the LinkedIn editors page. So find LinkedIn editors. You can follow their showcase page. And then this way you can kind of keep track of what's going on and what they're doing, and maybe start to engage directly with their content, just to kind of make you aware to them, as it were. Not foolproof, but worth doing. The same principle goes for your corporate content or organizations that you're marketing to. So I'm just going to choose Goldman Sachs as a random company, but you will have your existing client base and you'll have your prospects. Same principle, follow their corporate page. And from time to time, you want to engage with your corporate content. Because again, if we click on this button here, you then get to start to see, who else has engaged with it. Sometimes it's a broad mix, but sometimes you see senior people within. So Goldman Sachs, and so on. We kind of work through. So have a quick check in terms of what's one sort of Goldman Sachs again. So whilst it's not foolproof, a quick like. Everybody who's engaged gets a little notification. Now, again, they may not look at your profile, but it helps us kind of move you around the conversation. And what you do need to understand about the way the algorithm works is if over time you don't engage with content, it will remove it from your newsfeed. The same principle applies to you in terms of when you share content. So that's why using the hashtags I've mentioned are absolutely critical. And what LinkedIn rewards the most is liking and commenting. So dipping in and out, a quick like, a quick comment, thanks for sharing. And I do probably 90% of this on the mobile phone app. So it's a great way to just sort of keep the conversation going. But finally, of course, with all this engagement, you want to understand that it's actually working. There's no point getting lots of views of likes if it's not actually within the right audience who potentially buy all your services or drive that inbound opportunity. Because this is what we're trying to get to, actually drive inbound. And you do need premium to get this insight. But on any post that you create, then you start to get some inbound. So I shared this 30 minutes ago. So I look on this post, and then we're at 373 views already. And I can see here that this is sitting very much in the space that I would want with the right types of job titles. If, for the sake of argument, this was all retail, which whilst we operate in the retail space, I don't personally operate in the retail space, this would be news to me. So even though 373 views, I need to make sure it's the right companies that are looking at my post. I also use this as a sales and marketing tactic. If a new organization comes into my newsfeed, I keep an eye on it. And then if over time, I then might do some networking searches I've shown you to understand who might be there and then get an introduction to that organization. The other thing with hashtags, as you'll note down here, is that trending. So this is when LinkedIn starts to push your content into people's news feeds. We're going, hey, this post is trending. So you then click on trending, and from here it then takes you to the video. So this is the video I do. I do a video every Friday, so this is starting to get a bit of traction. Same principle, 1,720 views, and perfect. This is sitting very much in my field of where I want to be. So I know that my network, back to the point I made earlier around network, is working. So I am fishing in the right ponds. So that is a quick overview of the three main concepts that you need to consider. So that's the personal brand, your network, and then content. Content is absolutely key in this. If the content at the end of the day isn't engaging, then you're just going to be more noise in the newsfeed. I hope that was useful. If you want to connect with me, if you want to ask any questions, please do. Otherwise, I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen. Hope you found that useful, maybe learned a few things you didn't know you could do on LinkedIn. Let me know in the comments section. If you're not already, please do subscribe to my channel, as I'm always adding new videos as and when LinkedIn makes changes. And of course, please do find me on social, where I'll be happy to connect and answer any questions further.